Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to be modeling a few props. You can go ahead and model as many as you can, but for the sake of this recording, I'm going to keep it short and simple, okay? Now, the first thing you will notice is that I have created a collection and I've named it props, okay? Just to keep our project organized, all right? And I've gone ahead and I've downloaded reference images for certain props that I want to create, okay? As you can see, they are all simple objects. So let's see how we can model these, okay? And like I said, trust me, when you look at your reference images here, you see that there's a lot of props, okay? There's a lot of assets that you can add to your classroom. So you just have to go ahead and feel free to create any asset that you wish to create, okay? The workflow is the same, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start with the easiest, which is the sticky notes, okay? Now I come now to my blender, and you see I've also gone ahead and I've looked for the dimensions of all these objects, okay? So the sticky note is really tiny. I'm just going to shift A, add in a plane, okay? Now I rotate it on x-axis by 90 degrees, so rx 90, all right? And I apply the rotation, control A, apply the rotation, okay? Now for these, the dimensions are 0.0762 meters, okay? So I just enter 0.0762 meters. You see how tiny that thing is, okay? Oopsie, what in the world is that? Oh, my scale. Wow. Oh, for my y, actually I just changed it back to zero actually, because I don't need y. It's a flat plane, okay? I think that's why I had that issue, okay? Yeah, now that I've adjusted the dimensions, you see my scale changed as well. My scale should be 1 on the y-axis. Yeah, my scale should be 1. So I just apply my scale, control A, apply scale. That is it, very easy. Now this I call the oopsie F2, I call it sticky notes. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this and create different variations, okay? Because you see that I have yeah, well, here I have 4 variations, okay? So I'm going to create the a lot as well. A lot, no, a few, okay? But for now, I just tab into edit mode and I subdivide it and I leave it like this, okay? Exactly. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create the A4 paper or plain sheet, okay? So I duplicate this with Shift D, and this I call A4, oopsie, A4 paper. Exactly. Now, the dimensions for standard A4 paper, the height is 0.297 meters. So I enter it here, 0.297 meters. Exactly. Now, the width is 0.21 meters. So I enter it here, 0.21 meters. As you can see, this already looks like a standard A4 paper, okay? Now I hit Ctrl A and I apply the scale. And yeah, I can hide these two for now. Now, the next thing I want to create is the projector screen, okay? This really looks interesting to create, so I'm going to go ahead and do it, okay? Now, well, I think I'm going to analyze this object a little bit. You see that I have a cylinder here that has maybe 8 vertices. Yeah, exactly. And at the edges, it gets thicker a little bit, okay? The same thing I have here, and yeah, well, here too, okay? And this is just a plane. This is another cylinder below, okay? So now I know that I have to add a cylinder, okay? So I hit Shift A, mesh, cylinder, and now I already did this before. Normally your vertices will be 32, okay? So I just changed mine to 8. Now I have 8 vertices, okay? And for my depth, I'm going to reduce this a lot. Oopsie, nope, the depth is actually going to be the length in this case because I'm going to rotate it, okay? So for the depth, I'm going to set it to 1.59 meters, okay? This is going to be the depth, yeah. And now I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis by 90 degrees, so ry 90, exactly. This is what I want, okay? So the only other thing I need to do now is to reduce the other dimensions, okay, to make it not as well big as it is now. So I'll just hit Ctrl A, I apply my scale, Ctrl A, I apply my rotation, exactly. Now I know I need to adjust the y and the z dimensions, okay? So I just click and drag and I move my mouse. Oopsie, I did that too much. I move my mouse to make it smaller a little bit. I think this should be 0.05. Yeah, 0.05 looks okay. Let me confirm. Well, yeah, I can work with this for now, okay? So I just hit Ctrl A. Now I apply the scale, okay? Now immediately you observe that, oopsie, excuse me. Yeah, exactly. You observe that, like I said, at the two ends, okay, you have the same cylinder but a little bit thicker, okay? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a mirror modifier and I'm going to create that on one side so it mirror to the other side, okay? So I tap into edit mode and well, I can add an edge loop here, okay? And since the edge loop is at the center, now I can hit V to slice the geometry, okay? Now I select this with L and I delete it, okay? My apologies, as soon as I updated Blender, it removed all my add-ons, so currently I don't have the screen Dreamcast keys, but I'm gonna look for it and download it again. Okay, now I just, yeah, okay. So since I've done that, I just add a modifier, generate mirror modifier. Okay, now I select this face, and in front of the graphic I extrude it E, and while my extruding is still active, I scale it a little bit, maybe something like this, and I extrude it again. I think this is okay, right? Let me look at it. Not bad. Okay, now you see it reflects on the other side. Okay, now the next thing to do is the main screen itself. Okay, now to do that, I'm going to add a plane. So I'll just shift A, mesh plane. I rotate it RX 90 degrees. Okay, and yeah, I have to scale it. Okay, well, I can scale it in edit mode just to avoid applying the scale. I'm scaling it in edit mode. I think this is okay, right? Let me look. Yeah, exactly. Okay, now for the vertices at the top, I drag them down. G, Z, I just drag them to this point. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to create is the black border that we have here, but my projector is not going to be open in my scene. It's going to be closed. Okay, so I'm not going to need the top here actually. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'm just going to add an edge loop here, and I bevel this to somewhere around here. I think this should be okay. Okay, now I add another edge loop and I drag it down to somewhere around here. Now I know that I don't need this face, or well, instead of deleting this face, I can just separate this face, because this face I can use for the main screen itself. Now for this, what am I going to do? I'm going to add a solidify modifier to make it tick. Okay, so add modifier, generate solidify, and I'm going to change my offset to 0 so that it's offset on both sides. Okay, and well, even thickness, good. Now this is it. Okay, so I'm going to select this, the face and the border here. I'm going to tab into edit mode and select the group of vertices, and we're going to move them up, because like I said, this is not going to be open. Okay, now the next thing to do is the base, obviously. So I duplicate this with shift D and move it on the Z axis. Now you know I have to change the X and Y dimensions of this, so I'm just going to click on two of them, maybe 0.02. Aha, 0.02 feels okay. And for the X as well, how about 0.55? Oopsie, 1.5. Too small, maybe 1.55. Exactly, now this is it. Okay, so for this I'm going to apply the scale, Ctrl A, apply the scale, and for all these the scale is perfect. Okay, now I'm going to apply all the modifiers because I want to join the objects as one. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and apply all the modifiers. Now I select all the objects, Ctrl J, so they become one. Okay, now that they are one, I'm going to add a bevel modifier. Okay, so I add the modifier, generate, and let's bevel. This is bevel. Okay, and I'm going to click on this geometry drop down and check clamp overlap. Now I reduce the size, maybe 0.001. Yeah, and I just have to look. Okay, I think there's a problem here. Maybe I'll just reduce it 0.0005. Now let me look at it well and see. Do I like it? I think this is not bad. Okay, I'm going to add a weighted normal next. So add modifier, normals, and weighted normal. Oopsie, did I add a weighted normal? I didn't add a weighted normal. Add modifier, normal. I think I added normal, edit, weighted normal. Exactly, this is a weighted normal. And I'm going to change the weight to 100. Okay, now I'm just looking at the behavior of this bevel. I think it can be smaller, maybe 0.00025. Looks sharp, but in the end of the day, this is a tiny detail, so we really don't have a problem here. But I'm still gonna make it like so. Yeah, exactly. So this is the projector, guys. So I'm just gonna rename it and call it projector screen. Yeah, so now let's move to the next object, and the next object is let me see, what do I do next? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do the eraser next, right? Chalkboard eraser, exactly. So for this I can hide it. Now for the chalkboard eraser, I'm gonna need a cube. So now I have my cube. Okay, and for this, the dimensions, the length is 0.12 meters. Okay, so the x-axis is 0.12 meters, right? And for the width, as the y-axis, is 0.05 meters. Okay, so 0.05 meters. Okay, now the height is 0.03, so 0.03 meters. Exactly, this is it. Now I know that I have to apply my scale. Okay, so Ctrl A to apply my scale. Now coming back to my reference image, I see that this is divided into two parts. Okay, I have the wooden part and I have the whatever they call this, the main eraser, the main eraser itself. Okay, yeah, and well, now it's just up to me to decide the one I want to copy, because as you can see, for in this one, you see the wooden part is quite bigger than Okay, let me just call it the cloth. Okay, the cloth part. Okay, and for these I think they're about the same size. Okay, for these as well, but this one is not too thick. So okay, well, let me just do something like this. Or well, I can just go ahead and use these two to create my own. Okay, from my head. In the end of the day, it's going to be tiny detail. So for this, first of all, I type into edit mode and I add an edge loop here at the center. Okay, I'm going to slice the geometry, so I hit V. Okay, now this is a separate geometry. I hide this. Now I can fill this face. Okay, by selecting an edge here and hitting F. Okay, now well, I can hide this face as well and do the same thing here. Okay, now I have two separate geometry. One is going to be the wooden part and one is going to be the cloth. Okay, so now for the wooden parts, you see I like this design here. Okay, there's a bit of cutout here and there as well, so I'm going to create it. Okay, now to create, you know what, first of all, I think I can separate this object, so I separate it by selection just so I focus on it. Exactly. Now to create it, I'm going to tab into edit mode. Okay, and I'm going to add an edge loop around here. Now I bevel this. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, I'm going to add another edge loop right here. Just I bevel this maybe to about this point. Okay, exactly. Now immediately I'm going to delete these faces, so I delete the faces, I delete these faces as well. Okay, let me see. You know what, maybe I shouldn't have deleted the faces just yet. So instead of deleting the faces, what I'll do is that I'll select these faces and select these ones as well. Okay, and I'm going to hit X. Now I'm going to delete these faces. Yeah, exactly. Now I'm going to fill it in, so I select an edge here, hit F, fill it like this. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, F. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now I can go ahead and delete those faces. So I just select those faces, delete, and this one's the same thing, delete the faces. Okay, and the excess unnecessary edges that we have here, X, delete edges this time around. Oopsie, no, dissolve edges. Yeah, okay, good. So now what I want to do is that I want to select these edges. Okay, I think I need to select the ones in the ones inside first, because those ones are beveled a lot more. Okay, so I select these four and I bevel it. My scale is accurate, exactly, so I'm not going to have any weirdness. So I hit Ctrl B to bevel. Okay, maybe to about this point, increase the number of cuts down to maybe something like so. Something like this is okay, right? Now I'm going to select the outer edges. I'm beveling those as well, but you know the bevel amount is not going to be much. Oopsie, this Ctrl B. Oopsie, I can reduce this, I think. Yeah, or instead of doing it this way, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to fill the faces and add the bevel modifier. Trust me, I'm just making this up as I go. Okay, so now I'm just going to add the generate bevel modifier. Yeah, exactly, and I think that should be better. Okay, now geometry, I'm going to uncheck clamp overlap and I reduce the amount. Oopsie, still too much. Yeah, still too much. 0.0005. Aha, exactly. 0.00025. Aha. Good. Now I'm going to add a weighted normal. Change the weight to 100. So you see how I just easily created a shape like this. Okay, it doesn't have to be complex. In the end of the day, it is a tiny detail, so we really don't have to spend much time here. Now for the cloth itself, okay, I'm just going to tab into edit mode. Well, I think I can do this on my front photographic, right? I'm just going to select it. I'm going to scale it on the Y axis and on the X axis as well. I think a value like this is okay. Okay, and you see that face that I added, I don't think I need that face, so I'm just going to X and delete the face. Okay, now I can go ahead and bevel this, just add the bevel modifier. So modifier, generate bevel. Okay, geometry, I'm going to uncheck clamp overlap and I'm going to reduce the size of the bevel maybe to something like this. Maybe add a segment this time around, shade smooth. You can see it's just really easy. Okay, you don't have to waste much time here. Now let me see the behavior of weighted normal. Yeah, weighted normal made it look a lot better. So I'm just leaving it like this. Okay, I'm going to apply the modifiers and I'm going to join these two objects together. Yeah, so just like that, I have my eraser, chalkboard eraser. Okay, I call this eraser. Yeah, easily. So let's move on to the next object. And the next object, let me see. Well, how about the light switch? The light switch looks interesting. Yeah, so let's go ahead and create our light switch, right? Yeah, now I'm here and well, I can hide this. So for our light switch, I'm still gonna add a cube. Good. Now the dimensions of this, the height is 0.12 meter. The height is the Z axis, 0.12 meter. The width is 0.07, the width is the x-axis, so this is it, and the thickness is 0.02. Okay, so 0.02. Now do I like this? I really don't like this. So instead of using point 1, okay, instead of using 0.07 for the x-axis, I'm going to use 0.12. Yeah, because I want it to have this square profile, right? Yeah, I think this is a square profile. Yeah, so I want it to have this square profile. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so exactly. Now I hit Ctrl A and apply my scale. Okay, now the next thing to consider is the main do I call it toggle or whatever? Okay, yeah, this itself. Okay, so I'm going to consider this before I even go into more detail here. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. I can go ahead and bevel the edges, add a boolean, and do my thing, okay? But I'm going to keep it really, really simple, okay? So what I'll do instead is that I'm going to add edge loops instead of using the boolean. So, well, I'm just going to add an edge loop here and an edge loop here. Now I select the two edge loops, I bevel them, something like this. About this point, right? Good. Now I know this is going to be the let me just call it gap for the toggle. Okay, something like this. Exactly. Now I can go ahead and bevel these nicely. Okay, so for this I'm going to select that edge, that edge, that edge, and that edge. Exactly. Now what do I do? Bevel. Control B. Oopsie, it's too much. How many segments? 5 segments. Let me make it 0.01. Exactly. Now this is it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So now I can go ahead and add the bevel modifier as well. Just add the bevel modifier and I uncheck clamp overlap as usual and I reduce the amount, maybe 0.0005. Exactly, this is it. Okay, now the next modifier, the weighted normal. Yeah, so this looks good already. Okay, now for the main toggle itself, I can just use this face. Okay, so instead of duplicating, I just separate. Okay, because trust me, that face is going to be hidden. You're never going to see it. Okay, now I have this face here, so I just come to my right orthographic and I move this face and maybe somewhere around here. Okay, and for these I move it inward. For the vertices below I move it inward. Okay, I think I can move this outward a lot more. Now I'm going to extrude this on the y-axis. Okay, now this I just move it inward. Well, you know what, I can just I'll select that face, scale it on the y-axis by a value of 0. And yeah, I'm going to delete the face that is inside. So this is it. As easy as that, I have a toggle. Now this is not going to be animatable if that's a word. Okay, this is just going to be static. Okay, so that's why I'm not really bothered. Okay, now let me look. I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to drag this down a little bit. Exactly, I'm just going to drag this down, and this I'm going to see. For this I'm going to drag it up a little bit. Okay, yeah, I think this looks better. Yes, this looks better. Or if you want yours to have two toggles, I'm calling this thing toggle. I hope that's the right word. Yes, toggle. Okay, GX. I can just move this that way. Okay, and duplicate it. Shift DX. And move it this way. Okay, and there's a tiny gap in the center. Maybe I can just oopsie. Maybe I can just GX move this a little inward, and this GX move it a little inward as well. Yeah, exactly. So this is it. This is it. Now I'm going to join the two objects together. So I'm going to apply all the modifiers. Select this, select that, Control J. Have I added the weighted normal? I think so. Oh yeah, I have. Okay. So this is going to be called switch. Exactly. Now I can hide this and move on to the next object. Now the next object, the wall clock. The wall clock is going to be really easy. Now for the wall clock, I'm going to use a different approach. Okay, you see this text that I have here and all these graphics that I have here, it's just going to be overkill. Okay, it's just going to be unnecessary geometry. So instead of using geometry for the handles and the numbers and all that, I'm going to use a texture. Okay, and since I'm going to use a texture, now you know that this is just going to be circular shape for the main graphics itself and another cycle maybe for the glass itself. That's even if I need the glass. Yeah, I think I'm going to need the glass because of some reflections like this. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be really, really easy. So let's go ahead and create it. Now I'm going to add a cycle this time around. I'm going to start with a circle. Okay, I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis. Am I in my front graphic? Yeah, I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees. Exactly, now I'm here. For my vertices, I'm really just going to leave this at 32. Okay, now for the dimensions of this, the diameter is 0.3 meters, okay? If the diameter is 0.3 meters, now you see our radius is set to 1 meter. So if our diameter is 0.3, our radius is just going to be half of that, okay? So our radius is just going to be 0.15. Exactly, okay? Now this is going to be the size of my wall clock, right? Now, yeah, my scale is accurate. My rotation, I apply my rotation, okay? Now I'm going to just fill in this face, okay? Now this I'm going to give a depth, okay? So I add a modifier. But do I need to add a modifier? Since it's really easy, I can just do this quickly by extruding, okay? Yeah, now I'm going to have a random value. So I can go ahead and enter the depth. Now the depth is 0.05. 0.05. Yeah, oopsie, this looks too thick actually. I think I need to confirm my dimensions. Oh, first of all, apply the scale. Yeah, my dimensions is actually okay. Okay, so I don't know why this looks too thick. Doesn't matter. I can always reduce it, maybe 0.01 or 0.0, oopsie, zero point zero 0.02. Exactly. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you know what? Instead of doing it this way, trust me, I can even go ahead and select this face. I'm going to insert it. Okay. Now this is going to serve as the border. So something like this. I think something like this is okay. Maybe 0.015. Yeah, something like this is okay, right? And for this face, I'm going to separate it. P separate by selection. Okay. Now this is going to serve as the main frame itself. Okay. So I'm going to select this, and yes, I can go ahead and extrude this. Okay. And this face is behind. I delete the faces. Exactly. Now this, in my right orthographic, I can tab into edit mode, and I'm going to move this inward a little bit, something like this. Okay, I'm going to duplicate this shift D Y. I'm going to drag this out a bit. So one is going to be for the glass and one is going to be for the main graphics itself. Okay, now this one that is for the glass, I think what I can do is that I can insert it a little bit, okay, and move it outwards, GX, just a little bit. Something like this, maybe GX, something like this. Okay, maybe bevel it if I want to. Oopsie. So I'm going to clamp it by hitting the C. So when you bevel, it tends to extend. Okay, but when you hit C, just clamps it. Exactly. I'm going to delete the overlapping vertices that it created by clicking on mesh, clean up, merge by distance. Oopsie, it removed zero vertices for whatever reason. Let me confirm this. Ooh, it actually didn't merge, but it was so close. Can you see it? What am I even looking at? I'm looking at the one behind. Now this, yeah, I actually thought, yeah, this created overlapping vertices. So this is what I want to merge. I would have been shocked. Now this created overlapping vertices because I clamped them, so they have to be overlap. Okay. Now I click on mesh, clean up, merge by distance. Oh, exactly. See, you removed 32 vertices. Now I can go ahead and yeah, or unhide that. Okay. Now for this, I'm going to add a bevel. Okay, I'm going to do it manually. So I select that face, that edge rather, and that edge loop. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to move them forward. Okay. Remember, I'm just making this thing up as I go. Trust me. Okay. Now I just bevel this with Control B. Now yeah, this is clamped already. Okay, this is clamped. So I'm going to do the same thing. Mesh, clean up, merge by distance, remove 32 vertices. Okay. Now this I'm going to shade smooth. This as well, shade smooth. And yeah, just like that, you have the clock, right? This looks, oopsie, I think I should have used 64 vertices. Well, it doesn't matter, trust me, it really doesn't matter. Okay, let me see what weighted number would do here. No much difference actually, no much difference because there are no sharp edges there. Okay, so I'm just going to join this object. And now this I call wall clock. So this is my wall clock. Now let's move on to the next object. Now the next object. Okay, well, you know what, I think for the next object I don't have the reference here. For the next object it's going to be the lights, okay? Because if you remember in our scene currently, we don't have lights, okay? That these. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create them. Now to create the lights, I'm going to borrow the face of the ceiling, okay? So I'm going to go ahead to my assets collection. I'm going to look for my ceiling. This is it, okay? Now I'm going to borrow a face here. I'll just select this face, duplicate it, separate it by selection. Okay, now I can hide this. Now this, I move it to my props collection. Okay, currently it's called ceiling, but I'm just going to call it lights. I'm just going to call it lights. Okay, now in edit mode I can move this geometry till the vertex here aligns perfectly with the wall origin like this. Okay, now I'm just going to create a really simple light. Okay, yeah, I think I need to drag this down to GZ, yeah, drag it down. Now, like I said, this is going to be very simple. There's not going to be much details here. Okay, looking at my reference image, it's going to be something like this. Yeah, something like that. And do I have another reference? Well, not. In fact, this one has more details than what I want to create. Exactly, something like this. So you can see that. Trust me, this is just a white emissive texture. It's just a white emissive texture. There's no need to complicate this. Okay. So I'm just gonna insert this face a little bit by maybe something like this, okay? 0.025 or maybe 0.03 seems okay. Okay. Now, yeah, I'm gonna extrude that face upward. So I'm gonna extrude it upward a little bit. I think this value would do. Okay. Yeah. Now tab into edit mode and I'm gonna select this edges, the edges at the the edges at the edge, the edges at the border. I'm going to extrude them upward as well. So Z, something like this. Okay. Well, for this face, I can actually drag it down because I don't want it to intersect with my ceiling. I really hope it's not intersecting, but I'm still going to drag it down. I'll just move it. Yeah, something like this. Okay. Yeah, this is it. As easy as that. Now, this is going to be, now, this face is going to be the light, while this face is going to be the plastic material. That's just like the material of our ceiling. Okay. You know what? I'm going to separate these objects. I'm going to hit P, separate by selection. Now I'm going to join them. Exactly. So yeah, now even though they are one mesh, okay, but you see that they are separate. When I move, you see they're separate. Okay, I like it like this. I don't want that smooth transition because of the bevel. Yeah, now this I call, okay, ooh, I already called it light. Yeah, exactly. Now I hide this and move on to the next object. Now, the next objects that we will be modeling are the books, right? And for the books, honestly, I'm going to model just maybe one or two or maybe even three, okay? And all you have to do is use the knowledge you have to model as many books as you can, okay? Different variations. So immediately, I'm going to add the cube, okay? So I'll just add the cube now. And the dimensions for my book, I have the width to be 0.215 meters, okay? And if this is my front photographic, I want the width to be my x-axis, okay? And I said this is 0.215 meters, okay? So this is going to be the width of our book. And for the height, now the height is going to be the y-axis, okay? The height is 0.28 meters, so 0.28, aha, like that. Now the thickness is 0.03, 0.03 exactly. So this is the average size of my book, maybe a textbook. Okay, now immediately I'm going to apply the scale. Good, now I'm here. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to tab into edit mode, and I'm going to select, oops, yes, one, two, three. I'm going to select these faces and I'm going to separate them by hitting P, separate by selection. Okay, now I have what's going to be the cover, the book cover, right? And I have what's going to be the leaves. Yeah, the leaves. Okay, so I think I can hide this, or instead of hiding, I'm just going to isolate this. Exactly. Now, the first thing I want to do for this is to add the thickness, okay, because this is really flat at the moment. I'm going to add modifier, generate. I'm going to add the solidify modifier. Now, this is too thick. I'm going to reduce the thickness, maybe 0.002. I think this looks okay. Yeah, 0.002 looks okay. Right, I'm going to check even thickness. Exactly. This is it. Yeah, I like it this way. Everything's good. Okay, now the next thing I want to do immediately is to add the bevel, okay, because the edges are sharp, really sharp. Okay, I'm gonna add modifier, generate, and bevel. And for the bevel, I'm gonna uncheck clamp overlap as usual. On the amount, I'm gonna reduce it maybe 0.000, maybe 2. Aha, you see this looks good, it looks better. The edges are not really sharp. Okay, let me look at my reference images. Yeah, something like that. Note that I can actually go ahead and add a lot more details to these books, okay? As you can see, the back of the books, this side, you see they are a little bit curved, okay? And there's a, how do I call this now? Well, a curve or a U-shaped curve, something like that around here. But this is going to be, okay, see, another detail here. Well, as I was saying, this is going to be a really tiny object in our scene, okay? So there's really no point spending much time here. And for my own scene, I'm not going to put the books on the desk. As you can see in some of the reference images, you see how the desks are clean, okay? There are no books on the desk. All I'm just going to do here, for example, you see these two is just clean, and these two. All I'm going to do for the books is that I'm going to put the books on the bookshelf, and I'm just going to put a few, okay? So let's go ahead. Now we are here, and the next thing to do is to add the bevel for the back because I don't want it to be that sharp, okay? And to do that, that, I just tab into edit mode and I select these two edges and I control B to bevel, maybe a value of 0.005, maybe 4 segments. I think 4 segments is okay. Yeah, exactly. Now something like this, okay. Now the next thing I want to do is to add a weighted normal. So I'm just going to add modifier under normals, weighted normal, and I'm going to change the weight to 1. So this is a very simple book cover. Now we can unisolate the leaves, and for the leaves, first of all, I'll go to my top orthographic and I'll tab into edit mode, okay? Now make sure I'm in my wireframe mode. What I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to move the leaves inward a little bit. So I'll just move this on the y-axis, GY, maybe a value of 0.002, just a little bit, okay? I'm going to do it here as well, GY 0.002. And I'm going to do it here as well, but this is going to be on the x-axis, GX 0.002, exactly, something like this. Okay, now on my front orthographic, I'm still going to be in my wireframe mode, and I'm going to select the top part and I'm going to move them down, GZ, just going to move them a little bit till it matches the thickness of the book, the inner side rather. Let me see, GZ, I think this should be 0.002 as well. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here, GZ 0.002, and here as well, GX, yeah, 0.002. Good. Now for this, I have to bevel, okay? So to bevel vertices, Control Shift B, okay? And the offset I used, I can't remember. It doesn't matter now. I'm just gonna match them closely. Yeah, something like this. Okay, as easy as that. Okay, remember I said I'm really not trying to go into much detail. Okay, it would have been easy for me to just select this object, tab into edit mode, add an edge here. Oh, I think I should have added the edge maybe before beveling, but it doesn't matter since I'm not even going to do it that way. So I would have moved this, okay, and bevel, control B. You see, to give me that smooth curved shape. But like I said, honestly, for me, there's really no point. Okay, so this is just one book that I have. Now for the second book, I also have the dimensions. Okay, I'm just gonna shift A to add a cube. Okay, and for this, the width is 0.21 meters, right? So on the x-axis, 0.21 meters, right? And the height 0.297, okay? And the thickness is 0.005, so 0.005, okay? Now this is another variation, and oops, this book looks too small. This is more like a workbook also, okay? And yeah, this is really not bad. It's actually the size the workbook should be, okay? But for the sake of this, trust me, I'm just gonna increase the thickness, maybe even 0.015. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like this, okay? I'm gonna apply the scale, and it's really the same thing, okay? I'm just gonna repeat the process. So I tab into edit mode. First of all, I apply my scale, right? Tab into edit mode. I select these faces, I separate them, and for this I can isolate this object. And you know what? I can just borrow the modifiers from here, copy the modifiers rather. So I select this, select that, Control L, copy modifiers. Okay, now this is it. This is what I get. But this looks too thick, so for the solidify, maybe make it 0.001 exactly. Something like this is okay. Now I'm still going to bevel these two edges, so I'll just hit Control B, bevel the edges. Maybe I can bevel this more, yeah, to make the book look more rounded. Maybe just go all the way. No. I think I like something like this. Yeah, exactly. This. Okay. Now for the leaves, I'm going to do the same thing. Tab into edit mode, and for this, I'm just going to move them inward a little bit. GY, maybe 0.001 this time around. Same thing here. GY, maybe 0.001. Did I have to say maybe twice? Now GX 0.001. Now in my front orthographic, I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to move them down. GZ, this is going to be 0.001. The same thing here. GZ 0.001. Exactly. And here also GX 0.001. Now all I have to do is to bevel this. I'll just match it a little bit. I think this is it. Yeah, exactly. So you see now I have two books that I want to use for my scene. What's this weirdness I have here? Okay, just the shading issue. Trust me, there's really no problem. I should have actually merged these two together, but don't worry. Okay, all these details are really tiny, and it's not like it's a big issue, so we'll leave with it. Okay, so as I was saying, you see, I have two variations of books now. Now it's up to you. Okay, if you want 100 different variations, go ahead and model the 100. You already know how to model a simple book. So I'm gonna move on to the next object immediately. Now, looking at my next object, I think the only object I haven't made here is these safety pins, and this safety pin is a really tiny object that honestly I can skip. Okay, I can actually skip this, but you know what, instead of skipping it, I think I'll just go ahead and do it. So I'm going to pause the video, go and look for the dimensions of this, and come back and just model the safety pin for just for the sake of it, right? So I'll be back. So I am back, and I just realized that I have been calling that thing, this very thing here, I've been calling it safety pin, and nobody cared to correct me. That's so nice of you guys, right? Right. That's so nice of you guys. Okay, so I actually didn't even look for the dimensions. Okay, I don't have to be so precise about everything. Okay, I'm actually used to being precise. Okay, I remember I started with card, so and in card, you have to be precise. So I'm like that. Okay, but for this, instead of using the dimensions, I want to show you that you don't have to. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'm just going to use the A4 paper, or maybe even the sticky notes, or maybe both of them, right? I'm going to use them as a reference to model to determine the size of my pins, right? They're not called safety pins. I think they're called notice board pins, or those pins, okay? So I've gone ahead and I've downloaded another image to use as reference here. So I'm just going to add it, Shift A, image reference, okay? And it's on my desktop. So I'm going to navigate to my desktop, pins. This should be it. Good. Now this is it, okay? Now, okay, well, before scaling it, I think I can just model it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just to model it quickly. Now, to model this, I'm going to start with a circle. Yes, I know you thought I could start with a cylinder, but yeah, you can actually start with a cylinder, but circle, it doesn't matter. And since this is a tiny object, just 8 vertices. Trust me, you're just 8 vertices. Okay, something like this is okay. I'm going to extrude it up, G, Z. Okay, now I'm going to insert it. I think I can do this in wireframe. I'm going to insert it. Oh, I can't really see it. That's the problem. Okay, I'm going to, oh, okay, yeah, these circles don't have faces. So I'm just gonna add in faces by hitting F. Yeah, exactly. Now I should see it. I insert it exactly. Something like this. Yeah, something like this is okay, or maybe like this. Remember, I'm just eyeballing it. Okay. Now I extrude it upward and I scale it. Okay. Now I extrude it. I scale it and I extrude it one more time. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So now for this edge loop, I'm just gonna bevel it. Oopsie, just a little bit, or maybe a lot, right? Yeah, I'm just going to bevel it, and I'm going to clamp it by hitting C. So when you hit C and you extend it, you see that it just clamps. So exactly, now I'm just going to leave it like this, right? Now, since I clamped it, I have overlapping vertices. So to fix that, just click on mesh, clean up, merge by distance, and you see I removed 8 vertices. Okay, and I think I can also remove these vertices, this edge loop rather here. It serves me no purpose. Okay, now do I need to bevel this? I think I'm going to bevel it a little bit, because you are never going to see that. I hope I don't have scaling problem. Exactly. Now these as well. You know what? Instead of doing it this way, I'm just going to add the bevel modifier here. Okay. So I think I'm done with this image. I no longer need it. Okay. Now I selected my A4 paper and my sticky notes. Now I'm going to select this. Good. So you can see, compared to the paper and the sticky note, this is really big. So I'm going to scale it, but I'm going to do it in edit mode, so I don't have to, oopsie. Yeah, I'm going to do it in edit mode, so I don't have to worry about applying the scale. And it's scaling off now, so I'm just going to change my transform pivot point to 3D cursor, so that it scales with reference to the 3D cursor. I'm going to scale it down, down. Is this okay? No, down. Let me see. Aha. I think this should be it. Okay, so if I rotate this by 90 degrees, move it up. Let me see. Oopsie. I'm just trying to look at it from. See, it is almost invisible. Can you imagine? It's a really tiny detail in the end, but yeah, we will just have to do it. Okay, we just have to do it. I think this is okay, right? This is it. Okay. So now I reset the rotation. Oopsie. I just reset the rotation. You can actually do that using Alt R, but for me, Alt R brings up some NVIDIA settings like that. Okay, now I'm going to reset the location to Alt G. Now it is here. Okay. So I'm going to just add a tiny bevel modifier. Okay. And uncheck clamp overlap. And this is going to be really, really tiny. Maybe even 0.5. Aha. And what next? Add the weighted normal. Does this make sense? This doesn't make sense. So for my bevel, I think I'll increase the angle. Yeah, exactly. So I increase the angle just slightly to maybe 60 in my case. In your case, it might be different. Okay. Now you see I have 96 vertices. Let me see. Without the bevel, I have 56 vertices. With it 90. So we added 40 more vertices. But it doesn't matter. It is still relatively low poly. Okay. So this, I'm just going to call it pin or pins. Okay, and I'm going to move it to the props collection. Okay, what are these cubes? I think these are the books. Okay, these are the books. So what do I do now? I think okay, I'll call this book cover one and this book cover two and this book leaves. Did I spell it correctly? Yes, one. And this book leaves two. So okay, yeah, the next thing to do is to move it to the oopsie M, not N M. Move it to the props collection, right? And for this empty object, I can delete it because I'm done using it. So this is it for the basic props. Okay, I might actually come and change some things in the future. Like for example, I can already see that for the projector in, okay, I'm looking for a particular reference image now. Yeah, you see for the projector, something like this is mounted to the wall. Okay, so you can't really see the hooks. But I think there's another one I saw somewhere. Can I find it now? Where there was a hook. I mean, yeah, not a real hook to the wall, or how am I even saying? I mean, it was like hooked to the ceiling. If that makes sense. I can't find it now. Okay, well, since I can't find it, then that's an excuse not to do it. That's an excuse. I swear I saw this thing somewhere. Well, since I can't find it now, then like I said, it's an excuse not to do it. So I won't do it. I'm just gonna leave my project. Is it okay? No, it's not even this. This is actually also hooked to the wall. So I'm not gonna do much to my projector screen. Okay, and to everything here. So in the next video, what we'll do is that we'll go ahead and we will unwrap these objects and add material slots and prepare them for texturing. And it's going to be really easy. So I'll see you in the next video, guys.